Okay, so the whole spiel about this is I am fortunate that I have had really good experiences with 21st Century. I've been part of 21st Century way back when it was way back. Like, this is my 30th year in education, so way back when I was in Yuma, we did 21st Century when I was a teacher, and then I did it as assistant principal and then as a principal. So I'm fortunate enough to have people who really believe in our vision. It's always been difficult to have people say, you know, I don't want to stay after school and teach. I really don't want to do that. Well, that's kind of where my part comes in, as far as I really need you to do that and why I need people to do that and how important this program really is to the whole reason why we're doing what we're doing. I always say that before I start, I always say if someone gave you, okay, how much is the money now?
140.
140 now. I mean, back in the day, I remember it was 50, whatever. It went up, okay? But if I said to you, I'm going to give you $140,000 and you pick somebody to do what you want to do with your kids, you're going to pick the best people, and you're going to pick the best people because you want to get the most for that money. If that's your money, if you had to pay for it, if it was your money, you would get the best people because it's your money. Well, this is really important money that we are fortunate to have, and so we want to make the best use of it. So that's kind of the mantra that we go with here. And the other part that I think you're going to see is that what Acacia is really, really good at, and there's other schools, there's tons of schools that are really, really good at this. I just have the enthusiasm, the motivation, and the passion to make them like happy to do. And Jen can talk to that because she's new to our school. So she gets a feeling from another district and another school and then coming here. And these teachers, where we are almost 80% free and reduced lunch, we have 13 languages. We have SEI classes at K1, 2, but because they all pass out, we don't have to have one at 3. We used to, but now they're reclassifying, so we don't have to. So our demographics are not like, you know, our demographics play into the at-risk demographics a little bit. So just keep that in mind, that that's a lot of money, and what you do with it is really, really important. Our success with this program is not only enrollment, but our scores, and I will say that we can't talk about AZ Merit, but I will talk about that of all 32 schools, the 2 highest socioeconomic schools have really, really great scores, and guess who's right behind them? So excited. So excited. But I can't tell you that because we can't, but I can tell you that that is the truth, and our scores are right behind them, and I couldn't be prouder. So both of us are like kind of proud of that. So anyway, yeah, so we're dealing with some strategies, some challenges, but we're making goals. Our test scores have never gone down since I've been here in 2003, I think I started here. Our test scores have gone up. We were underperforming in 2003, giving parents a choice. We went to highly performing in 3 years. And we have stayed. We were an A all 4 years, that there were classifications. We've been an A from the state of Arizona all 4 years, the double A+, and then our scores have never gone down. Comparing Ames to AZ Merit, our Ames score comparisons to the district and the state are the same. Comparisons in AZ Merit, we haven't lost any ground. So it's just a shorter bar graph, because right? But it's the same. In fact, we even pulled ahead a little bit with this, which is, it's hard to do, so we're kind of proud of that in some grade levels. So knowing all that, and getting to meet some of my people here, and getting to feel like you almost have to come during the day. There is a dedication and a passion here for what we do, because the results are what's leading the group to do what they're doing. So what I've done is put it in kind of a little PowerPoint. And yes, I'm from Wisconsin, and so if you can't tell from the accent, when the words I say, and I've been here 30 years. My old assistant principal, she moved on to be an assistant principal in California, was a Giants fan. So when we originally made this, I put the Giants on there, and now it's the 49ers. They look at us like, ooh. No, they're not. So anyway, just know that's the little bit behind this I always bring with me, and you'll see my big University of Wisconsin flag by my door in my office too, that the kids know that's where I'm from, and that's where my heart is, and my family. So, okay, so using data to score with your after-school academy. Is there sound? There's sound. So what I did is, that's what I wanted her to fix.
I know she fixed it.
Did it? I never heard it play
Yeah,
that.
I heard it play.
Okay, there you go. I just have to do that. I have to. Sorry. This is my tech person. Yeah, so we'll just enjoy that for a minute. Doesn't that make you feel like, yeah? My husband's a Cardinals fan. Packers are here on December 27th. What else can I say? We'll be there with a big sign. Just kidding. Okay, you can turn. Thank you. Okay, so in order to get the most out of your after-school program, and I'll tell you, this is like my passion. My passion is everything we do here, but my greatest passion is that we're doing what's best for kids, and we're all using everything we have to the best of our ability. And this gift that we have from the state of Arizona is like, I mean, who gets $140,000? Who gets that? Like, we never get that. So what we've done is we've looked at, when I tell my teachers, you have to organize your playbook. You have to examine the data, determine the needs, identify students, and identify specific skills. This group of people meets with myself, my program coach, mainly the director that you met, Jennifer, and we first of all look at all of our data, okay? All of our data. Okay, who are the most needy students for this program? So it might not just be your lowest 25%. It might be some of your special ed kids. It might be some of your EL kids. It might be just kids that just need extra help after school. We identify that. We look at them. We're getting the kids in this program that need to be in this program, okay? And we're getting them in there because we need them to have that. Their needs, okay, reading's one need, math is another. They have a whole bunch of other needs, but what do they need the most? Usually kids that are lower will need both, but what do they need the most? So we look at where are we going to get the biggest bang for our buck with these kiddos, reading or math, and then we place them. And then we have a whole nother group that can get enrichment, and those kids are allowed to sign up for those classes if their grades are where they need to be, and we look through all the scores. So, and I need to tell you, everything we do every day at Acacia is based on data. We breathe it. You missed it. They were rapping to songs in here that they made up about data binders, and I'm not even going to say anything about what they were because that would not. But too bad that my 5th grade teachers aren't back here because everything's data, and it's so much that they're like giddy about it because that's all we do. We have meetings during the day. We step outside and talk about data. They have formative tests that they give every 3 weeks that they make, and then all that data rolls into what these kids need. So this group is picked not just based on, oh yeah, I think they should go, they're kind of low in class. No, there's like hard data for that. That we identify them, and then the biggest ticket, you can go to the next one, is that we look at specific skills. So I'll talk about that in a little bit. But again, our data is the formative assessments that we use for our school, and they're just Acacia teachers coming up with team planning. What have we taught? What should they have mastered? Sometimes it's like the littlest, I don't know. It can look like whatever it wants, and I don't know where Jessica's data binder is, but if I could find it, it's pretty, and I don't tell them how to do it, they just do it. Like I say, here's what you need to do, have at it, and they just do it. And that's why I love my teachers. I will fight for my teachers till the wit's end because these people work really, really hard. But they take that data from the formatives. We talk about that during grade level meetings every 2 weeks. I look at that for after school. Interim assessments. Our district does interim assessments for reading and math. They happen so many weeks throughout the year. There's like 5 to 6 for each subject. That data helps us see what they learned, if they learned what was presented and who didn't. We take that data. Okay, that's probably my biggest piece of data right now, these two, and you'll see why in a minute. We have the district pre and post. Our district came up with really, really good pre and post tests for math and reading. We have an excellent department for that. They made them. They tailored them the way that it would match whatever we're doing in the district to meet the new standards. And based on how our kids done an easy merit compared to the post test, they're like right on. So that totally helps me because we have that part. Then we have our dibbles for the little kids because of course in kindergarten, first and second, you're gonna need something that you're gonna base their reading off of. And these formatives, the interims are only 3, 4, 5, 6, but the formatives are actually every grade level, okay, including kindergarten. And then any other assessment data we can get our hands on. Anything we can pull in that we've done, we pull in. Okay, so there's like this big discussion about what we're gonna do. So that data is everything. Because lots of people will say, well, ask my teachers, who do you want to be in after school? Okay, but why do you want them in there? Like, what do they really, really need? Okay, so that's the first part. So the second part, I can click it, but oh, look it, did you see Aaron? Did you see him? He ran across, did you see him, Jen? Yeah, okay. He ran across the screen. Okay, so anyway, that's just to see if everybody's awake. Okay, last time I did this, it was in the morning, and now it's like, gotta wake everybody up. Okay, so Now we're scouting for key players. We're identifying students to determine the needs. It's that bottom 25%. This is important. The homeroom teachers are part of this discussion. When we meet for grade level and talk about ASA, we ask them who needs to be in there, and then we compare it with the data, and then we have big discussions about that. And what happens is I'll take a class that used to be they'd put 12 in, and then it's 15, and then it's, wait, there's 3 more kids that need to be in there, and then we're like at 18, and it's like, come on, what's 3 more? Come on, you know, so we get them up there, but we're getting results, so it's working. Remember, you're the quarterbacks of the team, you determine the plays. That's the coordinators. Those of you who are the coordinators, you're the quarterbacks. Everything that happens in the after-school program falls on your shoulders, and that's a huge responsibility, huge. And people don't realize that, I don't think, until they do the job, but you'll feel really good when you make that touchdown at the end and you have all this growth. So, oh, look it, that was the other guy. What's his name? I don't know, but that was the other guy, just to keep you awake. Okay, so then you're gonna like identify specific skills. This is where it gets a little bit different than from like your traditional, what people used to do back in the day for after school, like back in the day when I was the coordinator. We look deep into specific interim assessments, which are the ones that we give, but I'm sure your district does. If you do Galileo, same thing, okay, benchmarks. You really do, and sometimes the principals, like this is not their favorite thing, but the principal and the assistant principal, if you have one, and your program coach or whoever does your curriculum need to be there. Okay, it should be like a team effort. And then the secret play is to identify specific skills that need to be taught. Okay, here's the trick. This is like my blitz part right here. 1 or 2, and then backup ones in hiding. Okay, so like 1 or 2. So right now, if you go and ask my teachers, what are you teaching? You're not going to get, oh, I'm teaching math. I'm teaching reading. No. They're teaching a specific skill that the kids that are in their room missed on an interim, a formative, or dibbles, depending on which grade level you're looking at. And they are only teaching that one skill. 1. They took a pretest that the teachers had to make, and then we approved it, me and Jen. Had to look at it and go, oh, this isn't exactly, and they had to really tweak it so it matched. And then that same pretest will be a post-test, because after this many weeks they won't remember what was on it because it was really, really hard. But they have 2 skills. They know that they cannot teach the second one until the kids have mastered the first one. And if we're lucky enough to get to a third one, Jen and I have them in hiding, the girl that was in here. Nobody else has them. The program coach has them. No other teachers have them. That way I don't have, well, I'm teaching this and that. No, you're not. They're only teaching this, okay? Because kids that are lower, to throw a whole bunch of stuff at them is too much. So you have to probably back up your skills and fill in the blanks, and that's what this does. You are going back and filling in what they missed. So we might have a whole room of 3rd graders that just need author's purpose. Okay, that's all we're doing. Or reading for informational text, that's huge in 3rd grade. We're doing that. And it's like a lot of like, I help with the finding the resources to use for that, because if you don't have a really good textbook right now that's up to date with that, you're probably digging for like resources and things like that. We do that. Jen, myself, not so much Jennifer because she's teaching, but my program coach, we search for those resources. And when I ask my teachers, what do you like about teaching? Why are you at Acacia and why do you stay at Acacia? They say because you find us resources. And then they have other things, but you find us resources we don't have. And it's not just for after school, but you know, the things you use during the day, how can you roll that over? So not only are there only 1 or 2 objectives, which are huge, they're specific, and I'm watching over what that is. I'm making sure it's exactly what I need it to be, or Jennifer, so that we know that they're getting the most bang for their buck out of that hour and a half at this school, okay? And then it's all data driven, all of it. So this helps me control, oh, I'm just teaching math. Oh, isn't that lovely? I'll do a class, I want to do math. No, that's not what we do anymore. To get the best use out of this money and to get the kids to do what's best for kids, we have to be very, very specific. So this has worked very, very well for us. Very, very, very well. Then they come back and they actually pass on the post-test for the district because they had all those gaps filled. Does that make sense? Okay, so now you got your skills. There he is. Now what? This is the best I could do with like cut and paste, but just pretend it looks normal. Okay, so you're gonna make your plays, right? All right, so now we know what we're doing. I know what I'm doing. Your coordinator knows what they're doing. Your assistant principal and your program coach know what they're doing, but the teachers don't know yet, okay? They're waiting to hear. So that meeting that we have with our ASA teachers is huge. Okay, we get them all in one big room, and we say, and most of them are used to it, but not all, I mean, there's a couple new ones here who are teaching. So we absolutely say, okay, here's your 2 objectives or 1 objective. And typically they'll say, if they're new, is this it? I'm like, yeah, that's a big, unwrap that, and that's a big objective. I mean, you can unwrap a standard, and there's a whole lot of stuff in there. So we talk about what that means. So by the time you unwrap a standard, if you gave them more than 2, really? Like, I don't know that I could, I don't know. I don't think I could do that. I don't know that your principals could do that. So we are very, very specific. We talk about it. They share at their tables, what does that mean with each other? And we come up with a consensus about why we only have 1 or 2 objectives for each subject. And they talk about what those mean, okay, with each other. Then we prioritize the skills being taught. And we say, okay, so if we unwrap this standard, and this means you're going to teach this, this, and this, what are you going to teach first? They have to go that specific with me and say, okay, I'm going to do this first. Now, part of what's in here, we're not there yet, is who you get to teach the classes. That's really important too. But they have to be able to verbally say and talk about what they're going to teach, first, second, and third. Okay, I'm going to do this first. So it's not even like lesson planning, but it's like verbal lesson planning, okay? Then we're going to share we have error analysis reports for our district. I don't know if Galileo or those other programs do that, but it shows which questions the kids, I think Galileo does, which questions the kids missed. So we talk about, here's your kids you're going to have in your class, here's all their data. They need to sit there and actually highlight what each child missed, and then talk about what most of the kids answered C, most of the kids answered A, and why. So when they sit down with these kids, you know exactly why they missed it. Because the homeroom teacher knows that, right? The homeroom teacher knows it, but the people teaching your kids might not know that. So error analysis is important, because it's not just what you're teaching, but why did you get it wrong? Like, why did you get that wrong? And so we talk a whole lot about error analysis. I give them lots of candy, little prizes. I think we gave little piles of teacher supplies out, like, we love you, here you go, because this is like tough stuff for them to do. We had like kind of like a little giveaway with it. So the pre-test again is approved by myself, and Jennifer's new this year, so she wouldn't approve them, but she will next year. It's approved because I know what I'm looking for. Your principal knows what they want, so you can always say, can you just put your stamp of approval on this? This is the standard they're doing, they'll know by looking at it right away. Your principal will be able to say yes or no to that. It's just a real quick yes or no. Some of mine were, oh, you know what, the DOK level is not really, can we up that a little bit? Then they took it back and fixed it and brought it back. So that kind of stuff, the principal doesn't even have to do it, you just have to like say it. So that's a good thing. And then you're going to decide of your post-test, we have to decide, are we going to make a new one or are we going to use the same one? Okay, we've used the same one that we've used for the pre-test because these kids don't know it on the pre-test, so they're not getting it right. So if they get it right on the post-test, that's a really good thing. So to make it easier for you with all of this, you can use the same pre and post-test. And I would save them because typically you'll have a class that there's certain things that 3rd grade now we know are difficult, 4th grade. It seems like the same standards that they missed, they're missing again on the interims from last year. So we're actually being able to reuse some of the things that we used last year, which was our first year with using the new standards to kind of tweak this. So that was a little bit difficult. Okay, so you got your skills, now what? Your blitz play is you're going to stick to your objectives. Okay, really important for the teachers. Because like, I'm in those rooms and I go in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. And it's not because I don't trust what they're teaching, because I know they're teaching what they're supposed to be teaching and I know they're doing it with integrity. But are they monitoring it, reteaching it, monitoring it, and reteaching it? Okay, we have 18 kids in the class. You cannot do a whole group presentation to 18 kids who are all on a different level. So what they do is they split that into small groups. So while this group is doing this, I'm pulling this small group, and they're really hitting that objective. And then it's like, okay, you're done, give me this group. And so they roll through some small group, and then we use our Success Maker Lab, which is a program some districts do and don't have, but it's a wonderful program, and we use that the other 30 minutes and every child gets 30 minutes of that or more. So we only have so many computers, so that's a whole different fun thing. But we do it, and we do it with integrity. So yes.
How many licenses do you have?
How many?
Success?
At this school, Well, right now we have 850 kids, and we all use it at different times during the day. The lab, the one Title I lab has 56 computers that run all day long, and then every classroom has, so I would say, I bet you we have 60-something because it's based on your Title I. So our district distributes them kind of that way, and then I know we earned more, and then I know they purchase more, and then they distribute those. So pretty much the schools that use it the most are the ones that are getting the licenses. The schools that aren't using it, there's no reason to have them, so they just kind of give them up to the rest of us. So it's kind of like, hey, you're not using your 5, give them over here. We don't have a problem though with kids getting kicked off. We did at the beginning of the year, but I think they adjusted it a little bit. So it's kind of done that way. But they are not cheap.
Nope.
But it's our Title I program, I believe, and I don't know if ASA pays for any of those, but there's probably a little bit of, yeah. So with the combination of funds, I think they're able to get all of the schools on board that want to be on board, which is really awesome, because the program gets results. So that much I will say. So the coach's responsibilities is to monitor. So like Jennifer, you'll see her, she's in classrooms. Okay, and if you're not in classrooms, then that's like me during the day. How do I know what's going on? It's not to say, oh my gosh, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. It's how can I help you? Like, are you okay with this? Do you need more help with this objective? Are the kids getting it? Are they not? How can we help you? When I go through, it's the same thing. How you doing? Today they all emailed me their progress, and they'll say, currently we're working on this objective, so what I'm doing is like seeing to make sure they're on those 2 objectives and that they know, and they're like, I'm like, yeah, okay, good. You got the right answer because they know that with me. But just a little OCD on that stuff. But they email me, and I was like, oh, you get an A, you get an A, you get an A. And they even included, we're working on this, next we're going to this. It seems that 80% or more of my students are going to master this skill. That's all I want to know. But they know that the check is there, and I'll be like, that's my one chance to email them back and go, oh my gosh, good job. Thank you for all you're doing. Oh my gosh, good job. Because that just keeps them going. It just keeps them feeling better about what they're doing. With this whole thing, your people part is really important, because you know what we feel like after school, and I taught for 13 years. I know what that feels like, but they have to want to be here and feel like they want to be here and feel like they're important. Like, without you, our kids wouldn't be passing this test. Without you, our kids would not be doing as well as they are. And it's constant, I don't want to say, sometimes you feel like a cheerleader, but it's authentic cheerleading. It's not, it's for, I mean, this is my team. This is my passion. Jen will tell you, I love my teachers. I love. Most of them have been here. I've been here 15 years. A whole lot of them have been here with me. Love them. But it's me saying, without you, I couldn't do this. Without you, I couldn't do this. I cannot do what I'm doing without you, and thank you for what you do. Every single day. It's like giving them little prizes, buying them. I gave out gift cards the other day. Okay, I'm going to go broke. My husband's like, more? I'm like, yeah, more. We're just going to give out more. We can put it on Texas. But I'm always for reward. And if it's not something that I give them, it's a little card. I sit at home on the weekends and think, okay, who needs it next? And then I just kind of dole it out that way. But without that, people are not going to be motivated to do the program. They're just not. I mean, the money's nice. They get paid. But I think that the feeling that they get from knowing that they're doing something good for kids is even more meaningful than the money. I know that from my teachers. They work very hard at that. So your families, okay, we did this at the beginning of our program. We had the families in. That's our fan base, is our families. We have a lot of fans at Acacia, but it's about marketing. It's all about marketing Acacia. We didn't used to have a whole lot of parents come in here because they're like, I don't know, they're a little like, why? Why do you need me? I'm like, oh, we need you. You're the parents. Our kids are doing really well. They're not my kids, they're your kids. You know what I mean? They're doing a good job because you're the parent. So we started to get people in. We had a huge turnout for our ASA kickoff that we had at the beginning, and had everybody in the cafeteria. And what we did is we split it up, and half of them listened while we took the other half on tour so they could actually see what's going on in the classroom, watch the Success Maker Lab, stand behind their children. So it's not like your child stays after school. Now you really know what that looks like when your child stays after school. So there's a buy-in there, because what they see happening is not like a playground. It's not babysitting. It is authentic academic intervention. And these people are like, oh, this is great. Like, whoa, they're doing this. And they see they go from one thing to another with no little lapse in there, and that the time is being well spent. And now we have a waiting list, and we can't take all the people that want to be in it. We can't. And I have to say, well, your child was in it last time. If they need it, they're in again. But if they don't, then there's got to be somebody else. We have that problem now. And it's because we have shared all of this communication with them. The parents need to be a part of everything you do. If they haven't seen it, you got to get them in and see it. Okay, there's not going to be buy-in if they don't see it. But then the word of mouth out there is, wow, have you seen what they're doing in the after-school program? You with your neighbor, pretty soon everybody wants their child to be part of that, especially the children that aren't doing very well. I don't have parents going anymore, oh no, I'm sorry, we're too busy. We can't do that. I don't have that. It's that, you know what, your child needs this. Oh, okay, what can I do? Oh, we have this and this and this at home. Okay, I'll bring them on this day, and this day because I just can't do it on this day. Great. Bring them 3 out of the 4. Great. We don't need you on Wednesdays because Wednesdays is the big fun time. So we got them 3 out of 4. It's better than nothing. So I would say that every child we need is here, but the parents know exactly what we're doing. Exactly what we're doing. So that's a good thing. And they're invited in a lot more than just once, but that was our big kickoff, and we had food, and you know, they could bring the little ones and let them walk along because otherwise they don't come if they don't have that. And then your parent link part of this is huge. So yeah, that's okay.
The person has to have.
Nope.
When did you do that? Did you do that like in the evening, or did you do it while
Right
the
after school, right when it was going on.
running?
Right when school was out. So we timed it so that it was like right after school was out, but there was enough time so they could just take them home after. By the time we got them through all the cycles, and that worked. So that was a great thing because we were able to get them in. And like I said, we let them bring the little ones. This is kind of hectic, but we let them bring the little ones because we didn't have babysitting and we want them to come. So they didn't come right away, but like after the first 20 minutes, and then we just started the big roll-off with where they went. And we had tons of families going in and out of tons of classrooms. So I led one group, and we'd go from one room to another, talk about it in between. The discussion in between was, do you see that? Did we talk about what they saw? Do you know why they're doing that? Do you know why they're doing that? And all of us did the same thing, but we each had that personal touch with everybody. And with our Parent Link programs, Jen oversees that. We're sure to get as many parents as we can. I think our first group, we had 16 parents. The whole library was full of parents. And it's because we will put out like snacks, and then we put out all these helpful little things, like one of them is our Facebook flyer, and one is sign up for this. It's all these helpful things they can do that they might not know about, and then the kids get to come, the kids sit with them, and the teachers that teach the class teach the parents. So like, for example, 6th grade, they did plickers. Have you seen plickers? Do you know what plickers are? Okay, so plickers are these little cards or whatever the kids answer, and you can take your cell phone and go like this, and it records everybody's plicker. You can't cheat on a plicker either. And so we wanted them to see what the 6th graders do after school, so we had the parents do the plickers, and then she put the bar graph up of how they did on the math problem. But just seeing that, they were like, oh, this is fun, but they're learning. So bringing them in and making them a part of the learning, and then showing them what they can do at home with them is huge, because they don't understand the math. I mean, let's be honest, we wouldn't understand the math if we were not trained in it. I mean, we've been trained for like 3 years in this, and so the teachers are pretty good at understanding what those standards involve, but the parents aren't. So it's like helping them understand. It's okay if you can't help them. But here's some sites that will help you, and then we put up Khan Academy and YouTube, and you can Google anything and you'll find it on YouTube, but they don't know that necessarily. So it's getting parents in. How can we help them? If you're a mom, like, what do you need? What do you need? Like, thinking back to what they need, and then Clara does a great job of being the cheerleader of that and getting them in here and making it meaningful for them while they're here. So then when we have the next one, parents come. They just keep coming. Some grade levels, sometimes it's just maybe the timing of the year, what's going on in the world or in the community. You might not get as many, but you want to get as many. You might want to have a good turnout for those, because that shows that you've got your fans. They want to come. They care. But you first have to show them why they care. They don't know why they care because they don't have any idea what in the world we do. Really, oh, you're staying after school. They have no idea what we're doing in those classes. Like, if you think about it, do they know? Like, it's our job to show them what we're doing and to show them that it's engaging and it's fun and it's meaningful and their children are benefiting from it. So then our community partnerships. This is where Acacia, over the top. You have to seek them out. They're not going to come to your door and go, hey, I have some money. They're not going to do that. Like, I'm probably the worst of the beggars, but I'm not a beggar, but I'm like, oh, hi, You have a business in Phoenix that, welcome. I'm Christine Hollingsworth. I'm the principal at Acacia. Have you ever heard of Acacia? And then we start this big discussion. When we're leaving, I want to show you our teacher's lounge that was given to us this year by the Palmcroft Church. We love them. They started with Acacia probably, I don't know how many years ago. They came here just wanting to volunteer and drop off supplies one year and fell in love with the teachers and the staff and the environment. And I have a $10,000 lounge for the teachers with custom cabinets. Wait till you see it. Okay, I was like, really? A decorator? Okay, it's the best teacher's lounge I've ever seen. That is the benefit of this. Okay, I didn't go out and say, can you please give me, please? But they even use their vacation Bible school to have the kids, they always have something they decide to go for. The kids decided to do Acacia even. So we got even another like 3,000 from these people who are very, very, just very kind, and I can't say enough about them. But we also have a telephone pioneer group who is the original AT&T group. All these computers you see, and every classroom has 6, maybe, and I have a lot of kids here, including special ed. Plus we have a whole nother lab. We just got 100 laptops that are refurbished, that are docking stations from these people. Okay, they started back in 2003 with like grandchildren here. And then now I go and like speak to their community lunches they have and tell them thank you for everything they do and how important they are to schools. Okay, he came, all those bikes you see in my library, he brought in here this week. We have, all those bikes came from him for my accelerated reader program. That, I could go on and on and on and on and on about business partners because we have a bajillion of them. And they're all awesome, but they all are ones that we have invited in, and then they get to see all the great things that are going on in education, and then they want to be part of what we're doing. That is beautiful, because ASA has gotten, I can't even tell you the number of tax credits those people have, this group, but when people come here, she's been out there like saying, I run a program at Acacia. I want to say, do you know the amount? I want to say $600, $800.
Oh, no, it's more than that.
$800 in tax credits for just ASA. So she's able to help Parent Links. She's able to, I mean, that's some serious money from the community for an after-school program. Who would have thought? I mean, in all my years, I don't know that I've ever seen people go, oh, I want to give my tax credit money to the after-school program. I mean, typically it's art, music, PE, sports. Not your after-school program. Something's working, though, if all these people are giving us this money. And thank God they are, but something's working. We're doing something right. And so that's the great thing about what's going on out there. People are seeing the good things that are happening in education, I think, but they don't always realize what we're doing in this program. But boy, for $140,000, we better start telling them, because it's a lot of money and it's a great thing. It's like opening up a treasure chest and it's like, oh, I have $140,000. That's how I look at it anyway. And like I said, I've had it at Palo Verde. I had it when I was at Palo Verde Middle School, and then here. And then every year before that, whichever district I was in, I've had it. So, but it just keeps getting, the treasure keeps getting better and better. Like, it's so exciting, because like now the treasure's like $140,000. It's awesome. But that excitement and letting people know the meaning of that is huge. So this is huge, because you're going to get things from the community, because the community wants to be part of education. They just don't know how. And if we're getting this much money, I think we owe it to the people who are giving us this money to let them see what we're doing, because everybody in Arizona is doing great things with this money. But I don't think people really know that, and I think it's our job to get that out there and tell them the great things we're doing. So invite them in. That's all I do. I cannot even tell you how many people we've had. She's laughing. Okay, but we have some legislators coming in the next 2 weeks. We have one tomorrow. But I'm all about that, and all about Arizona schools. So we're going to be showing them great things about Arizona schools. But guess what? A big part of what we talk about is this after-school program. Without it, I don't know that I'd be getting the results. I don't think I could roll as many kids through intervention as I do with this program. So they need to know that money's important. They need to know what we do with it. And we have several coming through. But the first 2, one starts tomorrow and one's the next week. And then we have some other really important people coming here. But you know what? That's really, really good, because I invited them. And I want them to come here because I want to show them the good things we're doing, so that they know what Arizona's doing. Not just Acacia, but what Arizona's doing. So we're going to take time to celebrate everything. And that's all we do is celebrate here. At least the good. And they were dancing in here. You missed it. But we celebrate something every day. Because if you don't, it gets really, really difficult. And in ASA, We go on live announcements. She was on there this week. She was on the week before, celebrating. And you can make your own thing up. I mean, you could pick whatever goal you have. It could be passing a formative for your after-school program. But we did who had 0.25 or 0.50 growth in Success Maker. And we had a whole bunch of kids come up to the office, and they all got prizes. And guess where she got the money for those prizes? From her tax credits. I'm just saying. So you have to just think about that if you don't celebrate, then the kids don't want to come. If you don't celebrate the teachers, then the teachers don't want to be there, and then you don't have a program. But if you celebrate everybody, and then you're really tired at the end of the night. But if you celebrate everything all the time, your teachers are going to be like, yeah, I want to do this. And your kids, my kids, they're just like, how do I get to 0.50? What's after 0.50? So then we're like having this discussion about, well, what comes after 0.50? So we're talking about how we'll celebrate, 3/4 of the year. And we're on live announcements, so we're always like, wow, in addition to it. So they get to come up to the office, the whole school hears their name. The celebrations that happen at Acacia happen the same, is my point, in the after-school program. We do not leave them out. Don't leave the teachers out. We don't leave the parents out. Don't leave the kids out. 'Cause that's really important to what you do, right? I mean, huge. So anyway, that's all part of that. So this whole part is huge because I couldn't do what I do without these people. I could not do what I do at Acacia. I could not run my accelerated reader program. It's totally supplemental, has nothing to do with the curriculum. It's totally done at home, except they take the quiz here. I could not do that without the help of community. I could not. And the kids take AR tests after school. If they finish their Success Maker, they're allowed to do that. So it all feeds into to what we do during the school day. So that's important. So now you have what you need. There's a sound bite again. To absolutely go out and win. Hopefully this will encourage you and motivate you to go out and win. And there should have been a Packer there, but I think she turned it off. So you didn't get to see my Packer win. Okay, so thanks, Jeff. Okay, so does anybody have any questions? Because I talk fast, and I know that, and it's just like a downfall of mine. But yes.
Do your teachers plan the academics and the enrichment?
Absolutely.
Okay, so they do 1 hour of each?
They get, in our district, they're paid for every, help me with this, hour they teach, they get a half an hour of prep?
It's actually an hour a week, isn't it?
Or,
They get an hour a week. I think she's talking though about the enrichment classes versus the academic classes.
Oh.
right?
Yes.
We
Oh,
don't
do they
a
plan the
layered- We don't
enrichment?
do a layered approach here.
No? So
So
there's
there's
teach
enrichment
academics.
classes and there's academic
They're
classes.
separate.
it's either one or the other, yeah, sorry, I missed
The
something.
academic part. Okay.
One or the other,
So
but,
if you have a student that's in academics, they don't get enrichment?
nope, and the discussion with the parents, that's all me, usually me and Jen. We know your child really wants enrichment, we're all for that. I mean, we have this problem with the basketball team, because everybody wants to play basketball. Okay, if you're gonna play basketball, we want you to play basketball, but with no pass, no play, unless we get your grades up, you're not gonna be playing basketball anyway. And then junior high and high school, it's no pass, no play. We gotta get you where we need you. As soon as we get them where we need them, then the next semester they don't need to be in there, they're good. That is the biggest motivator of all. Parents are on board with that because they realize how important the success is here, because there's such a strong vibe to succeed. All these kids want. You can walk around, they'll be like, yeah, I'm A++, yeah. I mean, that's not like a snotty way, but it's like, yeah, I have a duty to do. I'm going to get these good scores. They're so full of that we don't have a problem with that because of that. Yeah.
So
Now-
enrichment,
Well, we do have a Wednesday program that,
Oh, yeah.
that Christine alluded to. On Wednesdays, all the students filter into an assembly where they get to meet somebody who loves something. Like they might have the mobile planetarium come, or they might hear from a musician. So
Dancing.
they're being exposed in
Drums.
that. So everybody feeds in there, and then on Thursdays, we do enrichment through leadership development. So there's some embedded things in this model also, but it's not necessarily sometimes we hear about the layered approach where you do a half hour of one and then the other. So
Right.
there is enrichment throughout in some component.
Right.
So how much academic are they getting a day? 2 hours?
They start at 3:15, they get a snack till 3:30, so 3:30 to 4:45 is academic total.
In one class, they stay
Nope.
in that one
They
room?
get 30 minutes in one
Oh,
room,
that's right.
and then they go to Success Maker, but we flip, so half the class goes to Success Maker, and I have enough teachers I can do that, and then half stay with the teacher, and then we flip them back. So it is like this too. The transition time is like no other, because they have got to get that 30 minutes, or we've found that the program doesn't do what it needs to do. 20 is not enough. 30 has to be 30. So I'm out there going, come on, and they move, they know. And then we kind of like, we reward them for getting the goals on the success maker. And they know when the screen pops up and, hey, I got an 80, hey, I got a 90, that they're going to be on that growth. So that helps a lot. But there is no downtime. There is no downtime. It is boom, 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 boom. Even from snack time to the classroom, it has to be orchestrated because we don't have as many computers as we do have kids. So everything's orchestrated so that half of them don't even eat a snack first. They're in the computer lab, so that we have enough to switch them and then they eat a snack after. Like we almost have to do that because we have too much. So everything is very, very tight, but very, very, very time on task. Like there's no wasted time. So we just have it like down to the, I don't know. During the day too, boy, it's like, ha, here she comes. No, I'm just kidding. They're not afraid of me. Not even a little bit afraid of me. Anybody else? Yeah?
What advice would you give to a site where maybe the principal isn't as involved as you are?
For the principal?
No, I mean, you've got folks in the room.
Right. They have a principal
What
that.
could you say to them in order, is that okay to ask that? Ask it.
Yeah.
In order
Ask
to
it.
do this,
Put me on the spot.
you
No,
know,
I'm just kidding.
you know what I mean?
No, I get it.
What's a couple little things people
I
might
get
do?
As a principal, I will tell you that I think that if you were doing all the things, like you were tying the objectives into that and you were getting the results for the school, I can't imagine your principal saying, I don't want to be involved in that. I think that it becomes just one more thing when it's just, oh, you have a little math class, no, you have a little reading class, and nope, you're having a little cooking class over there. Okay, so that's just one more thing. But when you tie it to this, to specific objectives that are going to increase the scores in your school, then there's a little bit of buy-in there. And I know that from principals that I know that are like, well, if you say it that way, well, Acacia, how did you get those test scores? Well, let me tell you. ASA is a huge part of how we got our test scores, okay? They're not as high. We have improvement to go, just like every other school, but I'm pretty happy with my scores considering what we've got going on here. And they ask me, what are you doing? And I will tell them, my intervention during the day and my intervention after school, I just had this conversation with our superintendent. Intervention, I can't even talk about intervention in an hour. You better have like an hour and a half or 2 hours to sit down with me because it starts at 8 a.m. and there are so many different kinds of it here, and then it just rolls into after school. And after school, it looks like 100 different ways too. So like when you say, what is intervention? I'm like, huh? Okay, yeah, that's a whole nother thing. So that is the most important part of what any principal does. So, and I hate to say this, but if it isn't, it's going to be because that's how you get the test scores. It has to be how you get even if you have the highest kids, they can still go higher. So you still have interventions, right? So yes, I would sit down and say, hey, I want to tie the objectives directly from what we do during the day into our after school program. Will you help me with that? Because I really want to make a difference on our achievement scores. I bet you that they won't say no to that. I think it's too much help and too good of a thing. So, do you have a question?
We want
Sorry.
to use our after school as an intervention, but like our classes are really full. We have no problems getting kids coming, but the kids who really, really need it, we can't get to them.
Okay, that's a good question. I'm glad you said that because I didn't mention that. But that's another thing here. Okay, so we have a list, and the teachers are in on this, okay? So I know you can tell by my face. You're like, oh, there's a whole lot of like, yeah, we talk a lot. So we get in a little grade level, and we say, these kids need to go. And we wait a couple weeks, and they're signing up, and we get the paper, and I'm like, your kids aren't in here. And they're like, oh, I know, did you call them? No, the teachers have to call. Okay, so they're okay with that because it helps their teaching. But my teachers make the phone calls and say, hey, these kids need to be in there. Now, are all of them thrilled? No, I'm sure they are like, well, I'm behind my back like Christine. But when the scores come through on the interims, they'll be the first ones to tell you, now I don't even have to say it hardly anymore. Now it's like they know that the second meeting we have, that those are going to come out, and I'm going to go, so we still need kids in this class. We don't have to say anything. This is her first year seeing it. So she sees how I do it. But we just sit down there, I just look at them and go, well, your kids aren't in. And they look at me now. And the ball's in their court. It's their kids. We're helping their kids in their class. You're making the phone calls anyway. So it has to come from somebody who the parents value, and unfortunately we can't make them all ourselves. So Jennifer doesn't make them because they don't know who's Jennifer Lozon. Ugh. So the teachers make them. And they say, we have a very my teachers who are, I think I've taught them all to be OCD. It's my fault. It's my fault. And I say that all the time because now they're all like that. But they came up with this form where they would show the bench, and I'm sure you do this, but We do it on the phone and we email it to them where here's benchmark and here's where your child is. Here's benchmark. So it's not just like your child's having a little trouble in math. It's like benchmark's 110 and your child's at 30. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh my gosh, what do I do? Well, you put them in after school. Really? Then they put them in. Unless you have something very concrete to share. If you just say, oh, you know what? They're having a little problem with reading. That means nothing to a parent other than, oh, you know, they're struggling. When they see a dibbles and they're like, they're supposed to be where? Suddenly it's like, that's my child and this is where the rest of the class is. Or if you just compare it to their class, not even a benchmark, because then they might just say, oh, that's just because that benchmark's really high. Here's Acacia, kindergarten, here's yours. And then suddenly they're like, oh my gosh. It's like the lights go off. So we do a lot of that. And so if they haven't done that, the teachers have to do that. And guess what? They're all in. There's nobody who's not in. It's just like a little, we kind of just, we just nudge. Gently. Yeah, we nudge. That's what we do. And there's buy-in there. And they might not love it, but they do it. It's helping your class. It's helping your scores. I mean, but you have to prove, and that first time you do this, you guys got to celebrate your scores. You got to celebrate what you got. Because if you don't, like, and I'm not saying brag, but you almost have to be like, we did it here. Look, everybody. Here's how our ASA kids did. 3rd grade, 4th grade. I mean, we did that. We did that because they needed to see how the success. Because then we started to, in grade levels, not in a big group, say, okay, here's your kids that were in ASA. How'd they do? Here's the last interim. Here's this interim. How'd they do? Like that, it takes that because they don't do it on their own. You have to, and so the effort, I get it as a principal, that you have to put into these discussions that are something that happens after school, it's hard. Okay, I'll tell you that from myself. It's really, really hard because there's 1,000,001 things. But $140,000, your best teachers. Oh, and that's the other thing that I kind of skipped over. I used to, when I first started, it would be like, and this is not even a real, please, this is not a real scenario. PE teacher wants to teach math. Okay, so it's your $140,000, just pretend that it's your money and you're going to pay, like your money out of the bank, you're going to pay this teacher to teach math. Not that they're not great teachers, but do they understand the standards that we're teaching in the classroom? They do not. Does a primary teacher understand 6th grade math? Maybe if they're like brilliant. I'm sorry. That's a stretch. That's a stretch. 3rd to 6th, 4th, maybe. But we have every class targeted with someone who teaches that grade level. And it takes a whole lot of principal going, well, I know you're really busy after school. My best math teacher, 6th grade, is teaching 6th grade math. She rocks it. She's young. She would rather do anything after school than this. But she does it and she likes it. And she does it because I asked her to do it. And she rolls with it. I mean, we have fun. If you don't have fun, they're not going to do it. We have fun. But go ahead. But that's important. Who teaches what is huge.
How many teachers do you have teaching?
Right now we have 11 in the afternoon and 3 in the morning. So 14. And it's all, and it's even down to somebody who's a speech teacher wanted to teach and she's great, and she's been here 15 years, but she wanted to teach a 5th grade math. And I said, no, because, I mean, it's hard for us that have been trained in it. So I gave her like a 2nd or 3rd grade informational text because she's very good at reading, and she does that with her kids, and she's doing brilliant. But could she do 5th grade math? Is she one of my best teachers? Absolutely. Highly effective teacher, but could she do that? There's discussions that have to happen. And those discussions are probably on a principal's plate, not on you guys, unless you're a principal, you get that. But those discussions are me saying, and I don't say it like, oh, you can't do that. You are not qualified to do that. Is not what I say. You say more along the lines of, I know this is going to be really difficult, and I feel like you're going to be totally stressed out doing this because it would be even difficult for someone who's been a principal to do 5th or 6th or 7th grade or whatever math. So maybe we have you do something that'll make you have more fun and be more comfortable for you so you don't stress out. That's the discussion we have. And boy, it works 99% of the time. 99. Because they're like, really? Because they have no idea. I'm like, yeah, so let me just give you an example of, and I pull one of those big vocabulary words out from the standards now, and they're just like, they're like, oh no, I couldn't. You just have to be like positive with them, but your principals have to be the ones to do that, and they have to be involved. Because if you have people teaching it that don't know, then how successful are your scores going to be? That was a huge one for us. We did a whole lot of rallying. Woohoo! Good times, right? We had a lot of fun getting them to do it. But we have 14. So yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Either one.
Your classes are very skill specific. How often are you rotating kids in and out of classes?
Okay, so we keep them in there for the whole time, that the whole, whatever, 9 weeks or 6 weeks they run? We don't change them until the program's over. I'm just gonna turn this down a little bit, just because I'm running around. 9 weeks, right? It's 9.
11 weeks.
How many weeks are we in? 9?
What, you mean, what, like,
Sorry, you're freezing, I'll turn it back up. I thought it was 9. Maybe it's the vacations in there, the weeks I'm counting, but.
Yes.
Okay, so, we keep them in for that, because remember I said we had quit with the kids? Oh no, I know where this is going, and I hate this. I'm so not that. Remember I said we had 1 and 2, and then a hidden third? By the whole time we go through all 3 of those objectives, because those kids need to fill the gaps, there's always 2, always 3 probably, skills, especially with math, that have to be filled in for them to get where they need to be. We never have a problem with that many weeks rolling to the next one. And it's our job, it's my job, Jennifer's really great at it, but it's my job to say, where are you? Do you think it's time to formative so you can move on to the next one? Like, you know, she's a teacher, so she runs this really, really well, and she's a go-getter. It's my job to make sure that's happening. So I will run around and say, okay, you've been on this objective for how many weeks? Are we done with this now? Do they have mastery? At least test them and see so I can get them to the next one and then maybe to the third one. So we do not roll, that group stays the same. And then at the end, based on our post-test, if we feel like they did not get what they should have gotten, they're in again. Like that's a no-brainer. The parents are like, no, we don't even say, it's like one of those unwritten, you know, you just say, well, you know, the next one starts. We don't say, do you want to be in it? We just say, just to let you know, the next session's starting now. We just put them in, and nobody says anything. So we just roll them. But then we take out the ones that have made it, and those are usually kids that want to do basketball instead, or some team sport that we pull them, and then allow other kids in. And by then, we have more kids than we can fit that need intervention in this program. So there's never a problem with that. It's just then you got to get the parents again. So yeah.
So Christine, this is so focused and intense. How many hours do you think you put in a week? Let's just say a typical week.
Me?
Well,
Like after school or before?
yeah, that's dedicated to your 21st century program. Because you're talking a lot about data and
Yeah.
analyzing data.
Yeah.
And
And that's
before
during
a child can even move
yeah.
to the next skill.
And that
set,
happens during the
they
school
have
day
to-
after school too, but we do it, I mean, when we're first getting those classes put together,
I think it's organic because it happens so often that it
Happens
lends
all the
itself
time.
perfectly to ASA.
but after school, we sit, when we're planning those programs, we will sit with the teachers, those groups, like, I know Jen was doing something else, when we had our first meeting was at the very beginning of the school year when we had the big piles of prizes we gave them. So the first thing they see when they come in was like their name on a big pile of good stuff, you know, like, ooh, and it's like, yeah, now here we go. And then we lay out, you know, you can be here for an hour, so have a seat. But that part of it, plus I spend a whole lot of time on those standards, a whole lot of time. Because Jennifer doesn't know the curriculum, K-6, I do. She has no idea what third grade does on an interim test. I do. So myself and Joanne Fitch, my program coach, who's awesome, who's also been at Acacia for as many years as I have and maybe even more, sits with me. And Jen's learning to do that too because she's new to elementary, but we will take what, we analyze those scores with her, and it takes, I would say, I'm usually here with ASA, but in the planning, I would add another 3 or 4 hours to my day, just with that. If you took all the time I spend in the day and added it all, I would say a good 3 or 4 hours a day. I don't get home, the sheep, poor baby, but we don't get home. We don't leave here till 6:37, and that's on a good night. And it's a lot of, like I said, today I scrambled to like I wanted to be able to tell everybody that we were on board, because I haven't checked with them in about 2 weeks other than going in and out of the room, but I need to see what they're saying so they know to answer me. The correct answer is, I'm still working on this objective, not I'm working on these. I'm like, oh, good answer, you get a star. Because I want them to know that we're focused, and especially my new ones, because it takes a while for them to know why we do it. Why? Well, then they start doing this, and you have the kids that are the most intensive intervention. There's no way you can just like, my heart stops when it's like math games. Okay, ask the staff. math, and I'm talking about math games that don't have a purpose. I'm not talking about exploration math games, but I'm talking about like board games or, I don't know, crosswords, word punch. That's a really bad thing to me. But I used to walk in when I first started here, and that's what they were doing. That's what they were doing in after school. Like my heart stops. It's like, oh. And there's a whole paradigm shift there. It does not happen overnight. You have to know that. You have to start with, hey, I'd like to try this. You have to get your principal, your curriculum person in there. This is what I'd like to try this. Could we do this? Can we just see if it works? And then you just build from there. And then you got to get the buy-in from the principal. And then when you get the buy-in from your principal, then you got to get the buy-in from the teachers. And you got to get the right teachers teaching the right lessons. Okay, when you do that, and your principal is willing to help you, or your program director, whoever knows the curriculum, with what those kids need, then you have to like find a time to carve out to meet with those people. And you have to get your best people to meet with you. Then you can go after the parents and the community and all of that. You first have to get it. When you start celebrating results, and do that. Talk about results. Not just with yourself and your principal, like your whole staff. Look what our after school program did, woohoo. Pretty soon it's gonna be like Success Maker was here when we first started. They're like, I'm not doing that, I don't have time for that. Okay, so teacher over here starts getting like phenomenal results and going, yeah, my kids did Success Maker. Pretty soon there were fights about, how come she gets the lab 2 times and I only get it once? And I was like, oh boy. So it just kind of feeds itself. This program feeds itself. But now it's a big rush for the teachers. I want this one, this one, this one, this one in this program. Okay, this one needs it, this one, okay. Didn't used to be, they didn't care. Now they care, because there's results. So this is just one way, it's not the only way, one way to make it really easy and like really, really specific, so you can really see the results, because the more specific it is, as you see the results. And make it easy for your teachers after school. Hey, you don't have to worry about it, you're only doing one objective. And I'll help you find the resources. Your principal and other people. I mean, right? Like then it's fun. You don't have to really, I just need you, because you're a really good teacher, to teach this. I just need you to teach it. And we'll have fun, I promise. I'll buy you sodas and blah, blah, blah. I just need you to teach it. I'll give you one objective. I mean, what a deal. Like now they get like this many. I'll give you 1 or 2 objectives. You get a class. I'll give you all the resources, and you go at it. For $25 an hour, whatever I get. What a deal. I mean.
Anybody want to come and work at Acacia?
You can say that because it's not our district. I get in trouble for saying that in our district. So, yeah.
So I just want to clarify, so you do Success Maker 30 minutes a day, and then the other is academics. So are they with that teacher for, I'm assuming an hour?
Yeah.
An hour what is it, an
Yeah.
hour and a half?
Yep, so that one teacher,
they're-
well,
they're
there's a
with-
snack in there. So
Yeah,
from 3:15 to
3:30-ish.
3:30-ish. So like, let's say, okay, so let's just say here's class A and here's Success Maker Lab, right? While class A is doing, let's say they have 15 kids, they're running small groups in here. Okay, while the teacher has their small group, this small group of 7, let's just say 7, 8 of them are over here. And then we do this phenomenal switch thing halfway through, because I don't have enough computers.
So it's the whole hour, and they're with the same person, they have computers in the room so they can,
Well, no, the Success Maker Lab is a different room.
oh, they leave.
Some of them are in here, but what we don't have room, we don't have enough. So we have half of them in the Title I lab, which has 54 computers. I can show you that. But we run them through there, and our other lab, which is just okay, there's anchors in there.
How many kids would
It's not really computers, they're anchors. 2006 computers, sorry. I mean, that's what we have. We don't have the technology yet, so we make it work with what
So
we
how
have.
many kids typically would be on Success Maker at one time?
Okay, so there could be in one lab, okay, so 8 from her class, okay, and teacher B is doing the same thing.
Right.
So 8 from her class. So in one lab we can fit 30, and in another lab I can fit 54.
That's smart.
But it's confusing though. This is for our main lab. Okay, this is the main lab. But this took a while because we had to find a way to make this work, because it wasn't working, because not every child was getting 30 minutes of Success Maker, which is really important because they need that. And it helps the teacher do this, which, if you know good teaching, this is the most important part of what you do, right here. Prescriptive, small group instruction. So the other lab, okay, has, and I'll just draw a picture because I don't know how to, it's got a horseshoe table, and 50 computers here above, right? 50-ish. Okay, so this teacher has a small group and half of her kids on the computers, and this teacher is teaching this group. So these computers, they stay in one room because I have this many computers in there. So small group, and then the computers half of them are facing this way and half so the teachers can see the screens. So that group can stay. This group, the bigger kids who can move. So we're utilizing 2 labs in 2 different ways, plus what we have in our classroom. I'm sorry, you can turn that back up. I know it's freezing, but it was like really
So I
stuffy.
guess my question is for Pam, like, you know, my school has 15 licenses,
Yeah,
and
mine
our
too.
Title I they paid for.
Right.
So, but 15 license, I mean,
How many kids are in your program?
about 95 right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so K6 or one?
K6.
K6.
1-6,
One-
actually, we don't even
So
have
how many
kindergarten.
how many teachers?
I have 6 teachers.
I have 8 teachers.
So if your lab has how many computers in it?
30. I have
Okay,
2
so you
labs.
could do this.
But the problem is, you know, with 15
You don't have
licenses,
licenses.
and my thing is that we just had this discussion today in our PLC data meetings.
Yeah, the
And
licenses
was-
are a problem.
Is the licenses
Yeah,
are a
our
problem?
problem.
We only have 15, so my question is, can we get more through the grant, right? Because I
Yeah,
haven't found
absolutely.
anything with my.
I don't know the answer to
Yeah,
that.
absolutely, you can. And you're in your second year with the grant, so you're still at full funding.
Yeah.
So, something like
Don't wanna
that
spend it.
is an easy approval.
You just have
I
to.
think they're about 1,100.
Well, I know that the 15 licenses was $12,000.
They're $1,100 around.
A piece.
Okay. I mean, if I could get 15 more, I would be
I think you
fantastic.
have it forever, by the way.
Oh, what do you mean?
Once you get them. Oh, I thought you had
Once
to
you
pay every
buy
year.
it, it's
I believe so. They don't expire.
They don't put a stipend
I know I got 15 of them from speaking at a Pearson conference about Success Maker back when they first started it. So we were like piloting it, and they gave me 15, and I think I still have them. So
Oh.
hopefully they never go away. But I didn't know that the district didn't. I don't know that whole part of it. So